Was this famous chef, Michael Chiarello's death earlier this year, caused by an allergic reaction to a GLP-1? So there are articles all over the internet, even mentioning tirzepatide and semaglutide by their brand names as being linked to the death of this chef. Now, in reading many articles about this, here's what I've learned. So God rest this poor man's soul, and thoughts, prayers, condolences to those who love this man. He is certainly much more than the legacy that is being painted in the media. I do not cover celebrity news, but I do cover GLP-1 news, and I think that this is important to address. So in my research, I have learned that Chef Michael Chiarello was suffering an allergic reaction that led to an anaphylactic shock, which ultimately led to a fatal heart attack. From what I've read, he spent 6 days in the hospital during this time and ultimately lost his life. So several articles that I read actually pointed to some comments from his, I don't know if estranged is the right word, but maybe separated girlfriend, who mentioned the fact that there was some spending at a couple of telehealth providers. I won't mention them by name here, but you can look up the articles. She said she went on to do some research and found that semaglutide is also known as Wegovy, and that tirzepatide is also known as Mounjaro, and that he had been purchasing these medications from these telehealth providers. Now, when I looked these telehealth providers up, these were providers of compounded medications. It does not appear that these providers were selling branded name versions of these. Rather, they were selling compounded medication. I just think it's worth noting, since so many of these articles seem to disingenuously link the brand names of these medications to what he was taking. And the reality is that while we don't know for sure what this man was taking, if what his girlfriend is saying is true, he was purchasing compounded versions of these medicines. And I think that is a relevant statement to make. Could his reaction, allergic reaction, have been to these medications? Potentially. In the SURMOUNT-2 trials for tirzepatide, there were 2 people that passed away, unfortunately, but it was determined that the deaths were not related to the medication they were studying at all. In the Step 5 clinical trials for semaglutide, there was one person who lost their life. Again, it was by an outside investigation determined that that was also not related to the medication. So is it possible? Maybe, but based upon what we learned in the clinical trials, it would be highly, highly, highly unlikely. We're talking about tens of thousands of people. And again, my inference from what this girlfriend was sharing is that these were the compounded versions. So that kind of even takes the clinical trial data out of it, because we don't know. We don't exactly know the formulations of the specific compounds that this man may have been on. Also, based upon the timeline that this girlfriend said that these payments were made, it is possible, conceivable, that he was overlapping his semaglutide treatment with tirzepatide. Did that lead to anaphylaxis? Probably not. I don't know. Not a medical doctor. But I think these are all relevant points to make. So if it wasn't the medications that ultimately caused it, or even if the medications could have caused anaphylaxis, let's look at some of the other reasons why he may have lost his battle ultimately. Like Chef Chiarello was obese, classified as obese, and with that, for this guy also came some unfortunate comorbidities that many of us face: hypertension, sleep apnea, hypothyroidism, along with several other comorbidities. So it sounded like at a minimum he had several comorbidities working against him, so that when his body went into this state of having to fight for itself, it sounded like he was potentially compromised in other ways with his health. Worth noting also that found in his system was evidence that he was a user of cocaine. Now, to my portion of this, where I just want to interject what I feel about this, I think this is another example of the media jumping at the opportunity to throw GLP-1 medications into a headline where somebody passes away. Do I think there are real risks posed here for anaphylaxis for at least the name brands of these medications? No. And I think that that's the takeaway for users of GLP-1. But again, my thoughts, prayers, condolences to the family of this gentleman. And this video is in no way intended to diminish the loss, the pain that I'm sure that they're feeling. But I think it's important to address for a whole community of people who may have heightened worries reading headlines like this. If you found this information helpful, please consider following my channel. Give it a follow, share this with somebody who might find it beneficial, and we'll catch you on the next one.